Yo, what's going on, guys? Frank Trades here, bringing you another new weekly stock watch list. Before we get started, though, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate it. Without much more being said, though, this is probably going to be one of the biggest weeks of the year. Obviously, we have elections going on, and most of the tech earnings are out of the way, which is a good thing now. So there could be a lot of choppiness. It could be some volatility. Who knows, right? We won't know until elections are passed this week or even for the next month or two. So we won't really have a good idea of how the market's really going to move. If it's going to be choppy or volatile, like I had mentioned. So, but going to earnings this week, we have PLTR reporting on Monday after close. I know that's one that our chat likes to talk about a lot. I don't really look at it. It's not my kind of stock to trade. So that's all them right there. We got SMCI after Tuesday. That'll be an interesting one that we're all going to be looking at for sure. AMC for all my herbs out there. Arm's gonna be another tech chip company we'll be keeping an eye out for as well. Not really much else going on. Got Affirm, got Unity on Thursday, DraftKings, a lot of stocks that we don't normally play, so that are reporting. So not really a busy week as far as earnings go, which is really nice for us. So it looks like really SMCI and ARM will be the biggest ones we'll be watching this week and seeing how they move with their earnings report along with the market. So now that that's out of the way, we can really talk about the important part for the watch list here, which is what all you guys are waiting for, is NQ. You guys know I like to talk about NQ and ES first. First things first is NQ. As far as NQ goes, when I was charting this yesterday with the stock hours chat, we have a trend line here on the 4 hour that gives us room roughly down to 19,900. I'm going to be focused more on the downside since that's where we're primarily at right now. If we go up to the upside, I'll talk about that with the chat tomorrow during our pre-market review. But for the meantime, I'm going to be looking at 20,000 and then 19,900 as my areas on NQ. You can see 19,900 is the area that we can hold above. And then we have broken a trend on that recently as well on Thursday. And then Friday, we tried retesting it or reclaiming it. And we actually rejected and actually ended up closing back below it. So NQ for me, for the meantime, is looking pretty weak. That'll be something that I'll be keeping an eye out for on NQ is those two levels along that trend line that I had just mentioned. As far as ES goes, all I'm looking for on ES is this 5730 or maybe even this 5725 area. I put 5730 because usually with ES it follows whole numbers a lot better than the 5 increments. So every 10 integer, it'll follow some sort of psychological or some sort of wall there or some sort of respectiveness as well as for a resistance or support. So for the meantime, I'm going to be looking at 5730, anything below that or maybe even a strong close. After 5730, I'll be looking at 5,700. Reason why I'm looking at 5,730 is you can see that we haven't had a strong candle close below this area at all. You could even use 5,735. There's a lot of arguments to be made here, but I think 5,730 would be the ideal area to see because that's where most of our bottom of the wicks usually come around from. And like I said, every 10 numbers, every 10 integer on ES is usually what I follow when I'm looking for supports or resistances on this index. So that's what I have on ES. No trend lines or anything to keep an eye out for on that. Next up is Meta. So obviously the main watch list here, which is what I'm going to cover with you guys. Watch list isn't too big either. I got a few side watch list setups, but that's going to be specifically saved for the chat since, you know, they get the premium to be in the chat and get the more exclusive setups that I have or anything that's coming up. So as far as side watch list setups, I'm not going to be talking about those. I'll be talking about the main watch setups though. As far as Meta goes, if I go to the 1 hour here, you guys will see what I'm talking about. I'll be looking at 562 here. You can see that if I don't do that, you guys can see that we actually have a close to a flat bottom around that area. You can see we had broken it previously 2 times, one from earnings and then the other one recently. But with how weak Meta is and how much of a good stock it is to trade when market sentiment is weak or strong, this is something I'm going to be paying close attention to and seeing if we can take any sort of advantage on this. After 562, I'll be looking with room down to 560 and a break below that. So it's a pretty simple setup, really based on a lot of market divergence here on Meta and seeing where we can go off with that. So next up is Microsoft. Microsoft is usually a stock we don't like to trade either in this chat, but recently it has been on our radar due to the smoothness of some of the levels we have traded recently and nor having some bigger signals on that one as well. So as far as Microsoft goes, so I go to the 1 hour time frame here. You guys can see that we have close to a flat bottom here at 406. After earnings, obviously this is looking really weak. So after 406, I have room down to 405. After 405, I'm looking down at 400. Pretty far away from 400, but for the meantime, I think 406 and 405 are a good area to keep an eye out for on Microsoft. Yes, we have been chopping up around this area as well. So something to keep an eye out for on Microsoft is if this is looking weak ahead during pre-market or during market hours when we're looking to trade it. this will be a better setup than it just following the market or lagging behind if it were to come to that 406 level. So next and last but not least is Tesla. Like I said, it's a pretty short watch list, not too much going on. As far as Tesla goes, it is the biggest setup for this week. The only problem or issue that I have with Tesla is that the setup is relatively far away from where we're currently at. So right now we're currently sitting around 249. That's where the stock ended up closing around. You can see up here. And then we have a gap that we had originally before earnings that created another gap. There's nothing special. There's not like a double gap. There's nothing of that sort. It's just a regular gap that just got readjusted. But this gap is around $20 to $25. I don't know the exact number, but it's roughly in that range. But the area of where I would want to trade it at safely would be the 243 area. So that's $5 to $6 away. Not too far away for something like Tesla. But Tesla being the stock that it is, this can always gap up. It can gap down. Who knows what this stock can do over the weekend along with the market. So as far as Tesla goes, I'm going to be waiting for 243. We could make an argument off of 245 or maybe even the low from Friday and trading that into 245. But based on how last week went with the choppiness and not so much follow through, I'm going to keep things really simple and not overextend anything. As far as the rest of the outlook for the week, that is all I have though. There is not much else that I have going on. So that is it for the watch list, guys. So before I leave and head out, I would really appreciate if you guys can leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, or even turn on the notification bell. That really helps the channel out a lot. And without much more being said, hope you guys enjoy the watch list and enjoy the rest of the week and play safe. So peace out.